forward and raise your right hand, please, sir. A little farther forward.
Just go right in the middle of the court.
All right. You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
Good morning. Could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name?
Dakota Lowry, DAKOTALOWRY.
And where do you live, Dakota?
Lumberton, North Carolina.
Did you just fly in yesterday?
Yes, sir.
And what is your relationship with Leticia Stauchs?
That's my sister.
Pretty tough for you being here right now?
Yes, sir.
Hang in there, all right?
Why, teacher?
Mr. Lowry, do you need a moment?
Take a break for a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have you step back in the back of the jury room for a few minutes. All right, for the jury, please. All right, thank you. You may all be seated. The record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Mr. Young?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lowry, this is your first time being in a courtroom ever, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you're probably extremely nervous.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to get through this, okay? I'm just going to ask you some questions, and we're going to have a conversation. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
Did you let the jury know about your other family members, other brothers and sisters, your parents, that kind of thing?
I got another sister. Her name's Julie. I got a sister named Amy. My mom, Deborah. That's pretty much.
And then
I got all my nieces.
What's your niece's name? Do you remember?
Got Harley, Jazz, Kanae, Cash, Maya, Jada.
And is Deborah your mother?
That's my mom, yeah.
And for the most part, did your family grow up in North Carolina, where you're from, Lumberton, and
Yes, sir.
still living out there?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned that Leticia Stauchs is your sister.
Yes, sir.
And do you see her in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Could you point her out and describe what she's wearing?
A green sweater.
And when was the last time you saw her?
When we came down here in 2020.
So January 2020?
Yes, sir.
And so I want to talk about that a little bit. When you said you came out here, who came out here?
Me, my mom, and my Aunt Brenda.
And what's Brenda's last name?
Ackward.
What's your mom's last name?
Locklear.
Why'd you come out here?
We come out here to help support Tisha because we felt like she was being wrongly accused for something that we believe she would never do.
And so I'm sorry, go ahead.
We also wanted to come out here and help look for him. We did.
Go ahead and take a deep breath, all right? You let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
So you wanted to come out and help. You referred to her as Tisha.
Mm-hmm.
And you also wanted to look for Gannon.
Yes, sir.
So do you remember when you came out?
January 31st, I think. 30th. It was late January. It was about to be February because my mom's birthday was that weekend or something, that next week.
And why particularly did you come out?
because I knew my mom was going to come out here.
You wanted to support your mom?
Yes, sir.
Now, was it January 30th of 2020 when you all flew out here?
I believe so.
Where did you fly to? Do you remember?
Denver.
You got to Denver. What did you do?
Went looking for her and Harley.
Rent a car?
Yeah, we rented a car from the airport.
Did your aunt Brenda Awkward rent the car?
Yes, sir.
And did she pay for you all to come out here?
Yes, sir.
And
Mr. Lowry, you're kind of soft-spoken at times. Could you put the microphone a little bit closer to you so the jurors can hear you a little better? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
so when you get to Denver, your aunt rents a car. What was the game plan? What were you going to do?
Get Tisha and Harley, at least two around us.
And did they know you all were coming out?
Yeah.
And so, do you recall renting a Nissan Altima?
I think so.
You drive down to Colorado Springs, I assume?
Yeah.
Who was driving? Do you remember? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Aunt Brenda.
And so what happens when you get to Colorado Springs? Where do you go?
Like a shopping center. So that's where we found them at.
Were you guys talking to them on your way down?
Yeah, when we was looking for them.
And so would this be a shopping center kind of on the north side of town next to a Marshall's department store?
Yeah, there was a Marshall's there.
And did they tell you why they were, or let me ask you this, did the defendant, Tisha, tell you why they were at the Marshall store?
She didn't tell us why. Not that I can remember.
Did she tell you whether or not she had an interaction with some police officers?
Yes, sir.
And you have to kind of wait till I finish asking the question
yeah.
because
Yeah.
she's typing everything down we say, okay? So what did she tell you happened prior to you getting there?
That the laws had thrown her down and detained her.
Say anything about Harley?
Yes, Harley. They said also Harley.
That upset you?
Yes, it did.
So where did you go after you went to this Marshall's parking lot area to pick them up?
We ain't got a hotel.
And do you remember the name of the hotel?
No.
Does the extended suites sound familiar?
Yeah, standing suites.
So what happened when you got to the extended suites?
That was when they was discussing wanting to get their stuff back, like get their belongings.
And who was discussing that?
Tisha.
Once you picked up the defendant and her daughter Harley, who was kind of calling the shots as to what you were going to do and where you're going to go and things like that?
I don't really know.
Well,
I'm type like I said, I'm the type of person that likes just stand in the corner and wait until they just tell me what they want to do.
you're just there to help.
I'm just there.
So how many rooms did you end up getting at the extended suites?
I can't remember.
Did you spend the night there that night?
Yeah.
Do you remember who was in your room?
I know my mom was. I believe Aunt Brenda was with us. I can't remember if we had just one room or two rooms.
Okay. Well, was Harley and your sister, the defendant, in the room with you?
We was around each other most of the time, like all of us was together most of the time.
Okay. And so you mentioned earlier that the defendant was talking about wanting to get her stuff back. What did you do the next morning to do that?
We rented a van.
And who rented the van?
Aunt Brenda.
So Brenda Awkward rents, what kind of van did she rent?
Like a cargo van, I guess you would say.
And so did all of you go to rent the van?
I don't know if all of us went or not. I believe we did.
So it's you, your mother, Deborah, Brenda Awkward, Harley, and the defendant, Tisha. Where do you go?
I know at one point she tried to go to the police station and get her pocketbook and stuff like that.
Tell the jury about that. Where exactly did she go? And you probably don't know Colorado Springs very well, right? So did she tell you she's going to the police department? And did you actually go to the police department?
Yeah, we went to the police department.
And did she go in to try to get her belongings back that was taken?
Yeah, she did.
Do you know whether or not she got those items?
I can't remember.
So where do you go from the police department?
I think that's when we went to their house to get their clothes and stuff.
So this would have been January 31st now, 2020?
I believe so.
The next morning?
That Friday.
So what happens when you get to her house?
We just started loading up the clothes and stuff that's coming out of the house.
Were there police officers there?
Yes, sir.
What were the police officers doing?
They was checking everything we brought out,
How were they checking it?
like looking in the bags and I guess just making sure that everyone's supposed to be there.
And how did you feel about being at the residence that morning?
Just aggravated.
And why were you aggravated?
Because I felt like we was getting looked at as criminals.
Is that because they were looking at your sister as a criminal?
No, they was looking at our whole family. It wasn't just her.
And so what kind of things did you guys get out of the house? Do you remember?
Suitcases and clothes, just all I can remember.
Was it all the Harley's clothes and all of your sister's clothes?
Yes, sir.
What was the game plan? I mean, where were you going to move those clothes?
They got their dogs, too.
What was the plan on where you were going to go with all the clothes and things? You know?
But I know when she got it, she was ready to leave. She was ready to leave.
And did she tell you where she was ready to leave to?
I thought it was South Carolina.
And is that where she moved out to Colorado from, is South Carolina?
I don't think that's where she moved out of Colorado from.
Well, did she live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for a while?
Yes, sir.
Is that where she was planning on going back to?
That's what I thought.
Is that what she told you?
That's what I can remember.
So how long did it take to load up all her and Harley's things into this cargo van?
I can't remember. Over an hour, I guess.
So what happens after you get the van loaded?
We leave and go back to the room, I believe.
Do you remember whether or not your sister had an interview with a news reporter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she did.
Tell the jury about that. How'd that come about?
I don't know how that happened. I just know she just had an interview with him.
And did she tell you why? I mean, was anybody talking to her about doing this? Or?
I wasn't. I wasn't.
Whose idea was it to have an interview with a news reporter?
I don't know.
Foundation.
Sustained. Jury will disregard the answer.
So when you went to the house, I'm assuming you went in the cargo van. Did you also take the Nissan Altima that was...
Yeah, the Nissan was with us.
Who was driving which vehicle?
I think I was driving the van, and I think Brenda was on the Nissan.
And what vehicle was your sister that's driving it?
Say that again.
What vehicle was your sister in, the defendant? Do you remember?
No. I don't remember.
Do you know, we'll go on to that. So she does an interview with a news reporter. What do you do after that?
I just know we left. I don't remember where we went.
Did you eventually go back to the
We went
hotel?
back, yeah.
Do you remember about what time of day it was?
No.
Go back to the hotel room, and what do you do when you get back to the hotel room?
I know we mentioned something about wanting to go look for him. Because me and my mama, we wanted to go help look for him.
Tell us about that conversation.
Well, we wanted to go. She said she would get up with Albert, find out, like, when they going to go out and look for him again or whatever. But we wanted to go, but at the same time, we kind of didn't because we didn't feel like we was getting treated right down here.
Is that because of what happened at the house earlier?
Yeah.
When you first got to Colorado, did you have conversations with your sister about, hey, we got to go out and look for Gannon. We got to go search for him?
We asked if they had any idea where he was at and stuff. I mean, that's about all we asked her.
And did you all ever go search for Gannon?
No, we didn't.
Did she ever say, hey, we got to go look for Gannon?
I mean, she told us that we could. That's all she told us. Like she said, we'd get up with Al and talk to him about it.
She never did. When you get back to the hotel room back on January 31st of 2020, did the defendant leave you all and go somewhere by herself?
Yes.
Overruled.
Did she tell you where she was going?
Go get some dog food for their dogs.
Do you know what vehicle she took?
The Nissan.
The Altima?
Yes, sir.
And how long was she gone?
A while.
Hour?
I can't remember that. I just know she was gone longer than what I expected.
Was it 2 hours?
I don't know.
Do you remember sitting around the hotel room wondering where she's at and when she's getting back, that kind of thing?
Well, I did get on the phone with my wife, and I did tell my wife I feel like she's just been gone too long. But
Say that.
because she was gone for a long time, like I can't remember how long she was gone, but I didn't expect her to take that long. But then a part of me was like, well, maybe she's just trying to take her a minute by herself. So
Did anyone try to call her and say, hey, where are you? What's going on here?
no, not that I can remember.
Does she eventually come back?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What happens when she gets back?
I don't know. She came back and she was normal to me.
Did she have any dog food or any items for the dogs?
She had some. She came back with some stuff, like she bought something, but I can't remember.
So earlier you had mentioned that she wanted to go back to South Carolina. What was the plan with the cargo van? Was she going to take the cargo van that Brenda Awkward rented to go back to South Carolina?
I don't know if she was going to take that one because Aunt Brenda wouldn't. I doubt Aunt Brenda was going to let her. I believe Aunt Brenda told her she had to get another van.
And so the next morning, we're now on February 1st, 2020. Did you help her get a new van?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about that. What did you and your sister do to get a new van?
We went and drove to the budget place. We got another van. And we got the van. We unloaded all the stuff from out of the van into another van, into the other van.
So was that in the early morning hours?
I believe so.
Do you know about what time it was? Is that the first thing you did on February 1st?
I can't remember.
So when you get to the budget area, did you know that you were going to transfer things from one van to another when you got there?
Yeah.
So did you talk about that on the way to the budget rental van?
Yeah.
So talk to the jury about that. How did you guys go about doing that, moving the items from one van to another?
We just went around right to the side of the budget place, and we just backed the vans up, and just swapped them out.
During that process, did you see the defendant with a rather large suitcase?
Yes, sir. I seen her with a lot of suitcases. Well, there was a lot of suitcases on there.
Was there one that kind of stood out to you?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about that. Why did it stand out to you?
Because it looked like she was struggling with it.
Did you offer to help her?
Yep.
What'd she say?
She didn't need help.
Did you ask her what's in the suitcase?
Yep.
What'd she say?
She told me it was softball stuff.
Why'd you ask her what's in the suitcase?
I didn't feel right about it.
What about that suitcase didn't make you feel right?
I just felt like it was too heavy for her.
You know, at this time, I'd like to publish People's Exhibit 48. It's already been admitted into evidence.
Go ahead.
You recognize that suitcase we see on the TV screen?
Yep.
How do you recognize that suitcase?
It's an old suitcase. And I remember that suitcase looked old. And it's green.
Is that the suitcase you saw your sister putting into the budget van?
Yep.
Is that the suitcase you asked her about what's in it?
Yep.
Is that the suitcase you didn't feel right about?
Yep.
Is that the suitcase she told you softball equipment was in?
Yep.
Thank you. Take that down. So what happens after you get everything loaded into the budget van from your aunt's rental van?
At that point, we was ready to go home.
And did you drive Brenda Awkward's van back? And did Miss Stauchs, your sister, drive the budget van?
I can't remember if we turned that van in there at that place or if we had to turn it in somewhere else. But I mean, I had to drive one of them because it was just me and her.
So do you eventually turn back? It's an enterprise van, right? Is that where you rented the van that Brenda Awkward
I
rented?
think, yeah.
Did you take that van back?
Yeah, we took it back. I think we took it back later on that day.
And did you take the Nissan Altima back to Denver to catch your flight?
Yep.
What did the defendant tell you where she was going to go?
The only thing I can remember, the only thing I can remember is her saying something about going back to Myrtle Beach.
And did she leave with Harley?
Yeah, her and Harley live.
Did they leave from the hotel?
I can't remember where we split up at. I can't remember where we...
But did your sister have to go back to the hotel to pick up Harley?
Yep. I think so.
And is that the last time you saw your sister until today?
Yep.
How much older is your sister than you?
14 years.
You known her your whole life?
Yeah.
Can you give the jury an idea about the family background? How often would you see her as you were growing up, that kind of
She
thing?
come to, like, holidays, came around on holidays.
Where would you guys meet? North Carolina?
But She'd either come down here or go down there, or we might have went to the beach and seen her.
Had you gone to Myrtle Beach on a few occasions to hang out with Harley?
Yeah, me and her. I used to go down there and stay with them. We'd go to the water park, stuff like that on the weekends.
Can you let the jury know who your father is?
James Lowry.
And would that have been your sister's stepfather?
Yes, sir.
Is your dad still alive?
No, sir.
You know when he died?
My 7th birthday. 2004.
Do you know the circumstances on how he died?
Got hit by a car.
Was he walking out in the street? And
I don't know if he was. I don't think he was on the street. I think he was on the side of the road.
do you know anything about the relationship between your father and your sister, Leticia Stauchs?
No, sir.
Had your sister ever told you anything unusual between their relationship between your father and her?
No, sir.
If there had been something unusual, do you think you would have heard about it?
Objection, foundation.
Overruled.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Why is that?
Because, pretty sure my mom would have said something.
And your mother, Deborah, was she, well, what kind of mom was she?
She was a great mom to me.
What do you say to me?
I'm just saying that I had no problem with my mama.
Was she very
I
protective?
think none of us should have a problem with my mama.
Was she very protective of the kids,
Yes, sir.
including Miss Stauch?
Yes, sir.
On these occasions that you spent with your sister, did you have an opportunity to see her interact with other people and make decisions and go through everyday life?
Yeah.
Had you ever known her to have a serious mental illness?
I know, the only thing we always say she probably had was that she was OCD. That was it.
Is that obsessive compulsive disorder?
Well, we used it as excessive cleaning disorder. Like she had to keep stuff clean.
Go ahead, object to the reference of testify as to what he saw and observed, but I'm objecting to him testifying regarding.
That's fair. Mr. Lowry, just talk about what you think as opposed to what all of you thought. So if you think it, it's fine. And just say, this is what I thought based on your context with her. Okay. Mr. Young?
Do you understand that? You good with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that she had OCD. Why do you say that?
She liked to keep stuff in a particular spot. She liked to keep everything clean.
But when you're around her, would you make sure that things remain clean? Because she may want to
Yep.
say something to you.
Yep.
Was she the same with Harley?
She was the same with everybody like that, as far as I know.
Anything unusual about that?
No, that's normal to me.
You know other people like that?
No.
Had you ever known her to use different names or identify herself by a different name?
I can't remember.
Do you ever remember her referring to herself as a person named Harmony?
I do know she didn't like her name, but I don't remember her calling herself Harmony.
Did she tell you why she didn't like her name?
No.
Do you ever remember her calling herself Jasmine?
No.
And you said you had a niece named Jasmine or Jazz?
Jaslyn.
Sorry?
Jaslyn.
And Are you familiar whether or not your sister liked Disney movies?
I believe she did.
Are you familiar with the movie Aladdin?
Yeah.
You familiar with a character named Jasmine in that movie?
Yes, sir.
Who's Jasmine in that movie?
The princess.
Do you ever remember her talking in a Spanish accent?
No.
You ever seen her in a stressful situation?
No.
How about when you came to Colorado?
Yeah.
During the entire time you're in Colorado with her, had you ever seen her speak in a Spanish accent?
No.
Have you ever